All right, good morning and welcome to Health Talk here on AM 1270 and 96.5 FM KXBX. I'm Paul Thomas in the studio. A live show with Bill Kearney of Northlake Medical Pharmacies. Bill, welcome back.
Well, thank you. I'll tell you, it's been the last thing you want to do today is fly. I'm telling you, it's just been crazy. I started out a week from this morning in Sacramento at 4 o'clock in the morning to fly to Minneapolis, and from Minneapolis to Madison, Wisconsin. And at 4:30 in the morning, you wouldn't think there'd be anybody in the airport, and it was just jam-packed.
Yeah.
And I fly so much, I have a KTN number, a known traveler's number, and for some reason, and it was obvious coming back, you know, the security was really tremendous, so they stop you about everything. And by the time I got into Minneapolis, then I had to take another airplane to Madison, Wisconsin, and I was supposed to get there at 2:10. I think I got there at 10 minutes till 5, and then I had meetings from Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday. And then I flew to Chicago to meet my wife and my daughter to spend a couple days in Chicago because I grew up there and used to live there. And that was another fiasco. I don't. Anyway, I finally got there about 8 or 9 o'clock, and and this was a 45-minute flight from Madison to Chicago. And
You could have walked there faster.
Yeah. Spent a couple of days, and then went to the Cubs game on Monday night, and grabbed a flight out yesterday at 6 o'clock, and finally got in at 11:30 last night. So it's not fun flying anymore, and it's besides all of the difficulties. Just in this morning, of course, Southwest went on; their computers all went down, and so that was starting to happen yesterday. And of course our luggage got sent. We were supposed to be on a flight at 10:30. We finally got on a flight at 3:30, and then we thought we were going to get there too late to, I guess it was Las Vegas on the way back. Finally got a flight in Las Vegas and no luggage. So we got to Sacramento and no luggage there. And finally we went and asked the people
Where's our luggage?
that were holding luggage, and I guess it came in on an earlier flight. So and then I had left my car at the Holiday Inn Express, so I called them. They said, well, we just picked up the last customer. And I said, well, my flight was supposed to get in at 2:10. It got in at 8:30 or 9:30. So they came back and picked us up, and we drove home last night. So just the stress of it used to be, you know, you wore there were 16 people in wheelchairs in Chicago getting on that flight to Las Vegas. And of course, they all got up and walked out of their chairs. Once they got loaded, 90% of them didn't need to be in wheelchairs.
You know, my mother-in-law does that. Actually, we flew to Oregon with her.
Yeah.
She did the same thing. She walked right into the airport, walked right up to the wherever, and asked to have a wheelchair, and they wheeled her right up to the gate.
And they had one person wheeling people down into the cabins, and they're taking all the priority seats that we paid $40 extra for. And then you see them walking out of the airplane to gamble in Las Vegas. They're all walking out. But anyway, we're here to talk about your health and to keep your blood pressure down and what happens when your medicine is gone. And I just put it in your carry-on luggage, and don't ever put it in your luggage to be shipped. So last week, and I assume we played this one last week before I left, we were talking about changes in medications, and one of the things we didn't get to talk about was changes in children's chewable Tylenol strengths. Children's Tylenol is phasing out the 80 milligram chewable tablets and will now make only 160 milligram chewable tablets to reduce dosing mishaps. To me, that makes it even more prone to have dosing mishaps, but the higher strength will be called children's Tylenol instead of junior Tylenol, and the generics will probably follow suit. And that's what happened with the liquid we talked about last week. Several years ago, the 80 milligram per 8/10 of a milliliter was discontinued, and just the 160 milligram for 5 milliliter liquid remains. So if you still have some of the old stuff, I would get rid of it. It's relatively inexpensive. You don't need to buy the brand name. But we still feel comfortable selling any kind of 80 milligram chewable tablets. You just, when we have it in stock, it may take time to get rid of the existing supply. But be prepared for some confusion during the transition, because parents have a tendency when their child's sick to just reach in the medicine cabinet and give what they remember giving, and there's going to be a big difference. They're going to be twice as strong now as they were before, and again, it's difficult for me to see how that's going to make us have fewer accidents. I would think it would cause us to have more accidents, but that's their intent, and it's gone through the Food and Drug Administration, and it's going to happen. So we'll remind you again as we go along what is transpiring as far as keeping you from being confused on the labels. Just before I flew to Wisconsin to my board meeting, I had our flu manufacturer for flu vaccines get in touch with us about this year's quota on vaccines. And we had predicted so many to be used last year, and we went over that, and we had a lot of vaccines for, instead of trivalent vaccines, for quadrivalent vaccines. So I ordered almost exclusively quadrivalent vaccines, which gives you one more strain than we've had in the past, and hopefully better protection. There hasn't been any evidence in the past that that extra strain has caused less people to get the flu, but we have physicians asking for that now. It may be a little more uncomfortable to immunize you with it, but if you have a good immunizer, which we do, I'll still be there to do that for you, and both of my pharmacists are excellent at giving immunizations. So just to have a heads up on this, your insurance should continue to pay for it. The tragedy in all this is we have never seen anything like college students not getting flu shots. It's at a peak where the biggest outbreak in flu has been coming in universities, and barely any of those who got sick thought to get an annual flu shot, even though the college part of the university usually offers it for free. The students don't see themselves as being as vulnerable as everybody else. Parents can encourage them, but they have that bubble of invulnerability, which most kids do. Nothing can happen to me. I was in on this cruise a couple of weeks ago, and our little gal that took care of us, cute little girl from Macedonia, and really in good shape. And I said, well, what do you do when you're off? And she really needed the money because there's a war going on over there and family being slaughtered. And I said, what do you do when you have a day off? And she says, well, I usually try to go sky jumping or take a bungee jump off a bridge or something like that. And I says, you know, you're 24 years old. She says, well, nothing's going to happen. We do that all the time. And I'm thinking, and this girl works about 12 to 14 hours a day, or she takes that wire thing from mountain to mountain and does it that way. And crazy. I have a friend that's a Navy SEAL, and he actually does the suit where you're in a bat suit and jump off a mountain in Europe.
Seen that?
So, but these kids don't think that they're going to get the flu, and vaccination rates actually on college campuses are strikingly low as 8% and only as high as about 35%. So, and the difference is, of course, that they're all in an enclosed area. The flu can go through dormitories, classrooms, shared restrooms. Those people who get sick can lose up to 8 days more of class. And a lot of kids say they just don't want to get poked with needles, but hadn't gotten the flu since they were a certain age and don't see the need to get vaccinated. They don't just seem like a necessity, because if you're young and healthy, you feel like your body will fight it off in a few days. But even though the worst effects of the flu are seen among people with underlying illnesses, and those people over my age, 65, which, by the way, went to 75 last week, or this week.
Oh, you had a birthday?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
All right. Happy birthday.
But thank you and no thank you. I'm not running. But the flu shot, only protects the one person, the teachers, the coaches, and others as well. Perhaps most importantly, once they start getting it, they continue an important routine. So from 6 months on, you should be getting the flu shot. When I was going to Wisconsin, I usually keep my car at one of the motels and park and fly. The norovirus in Yolo County is huge. It's up over 3,000 people have it now. And when you're going in all these airports, in the restaurants, in all these airplanes, and I don't know if you've ever seen the sink in most of the restrooms in an airliner, but you just wonder how many people actually wash their hands when they go through there, and then that's all over everything, and you're going through stores and restaurants and escalators and walking places where little kids are putting their hands on those railings and walking through, as well as adults who just don't practice good hygiene. It's kind of scary about getting some sort of a disease. So when you know those diseases are prevalent out there and you can take an immunization in order to take care of it, I just need to keep reminding you that Northlake Medical Pharmacies still continue to not do flu vaccine right now. They expired in this month, but we're ordering the new vaccines now, which will come out in probably August. Various ideas about when's the best time to get immunized. I always say get immunized first. There's some consideration because the flu hangs around so long now that you should wait longer to get a flu shot. If it's me and I'm the one giving the shots and I'm the one being exposed, I want to make sure that I get my shot as soon as they're available. Another thing that we have that had occurred in my lifetime and in Lake County, and I saw this on the internet while I was gone, and it was about kissing bugs in your home. And although they don't specify California as being an area for kissing bugs, I myself have been bitten by the kissing bug, and I had a good friend several years ago that was a good friend of mine and involved in the Chamber of Commerce that was bit 2 or 3 times by a kissing bug and eventually died. Chagas disease is one of the 5 parasitic infections is targeting for public health action. Over 300,000 people in the U.S. currently live with it, and most don't even know. And areas that I just came from, Central and South America, are pretty dominant with that bug. They can present itself with mild or even no symptoms, but the effects can be life-threatening. It increases the risk of death by 2 or 3 times. Brazilian researchers link this with an increased risk of heart disease, 7 times more to be exact. So the greatest risk, of course, is in Central and Latin and South America. Most people in the United States acquired it abroad, but I acquired it right on my own beach while I was sleeping over in a sleeping bag just to be close to the water. My friend who expired from the kissing bug in Lake County, it was along the side of his home where his wood was stacked. And they're called vampire bugs. They hide indoors, sometimes in the cracks and holes of substandard housing, but they like log cabins. They like their homes beneath porches and dog houses under rocks and wood. They look fairly tame. They're blood-sucking pests that spread by biting humans, usually while they're sleeping. And after feeding, their feces can enter the body through breaks in the skin, and sleeping people can also accidentally scratch or rub the feces into their eyes or mouth. So the first few weeks after the infection is the acute phase, when people show mild symptoms like fever, aches, or fatigue, and sometimes they don't. The most noticeable marker is Romanes sign, which the eyelids near the point of infection start to swell. But the chronic phase, the one that's more permanent, is when the cardiac or intestinal complications can develop. So you can take what we call anti-parasitic drugs. If caught early, the best way to prevention is controlling the bugs that spread it. Seal cracks and gaps, remove wood or rock piles near your home. And most of us that have wood fireplaces, that's exactly where we have our wood, and that's exactly where they like to hang out. Roach hotels and other bait won't work against these drugs, and it's important not to scare you so much, but to note the likelihood of getting it in the United States is relatively low, but it shouldn't go unignored. If you think you have the disease, you need to let your doctor know. And if you go on the internet and just put out kissing bugs, you will see a picture. It's a beetle-like thing with orange stripes across it. And if you think you have one, save it, take it into the ag department or whoever health department and show them and see if that's what it is. Because the bite is insignificant as far as when you get bit. It doesn't feel like, it's not like a spider bite or something like even a fly. You don't really notice you have it until it's really too late. So one of the things is I was lining up to get on the airlines. I noticed how older the population is getting, how much older. And, of course, I'm part of that aging population. And, of course, along with that aging population becomes added risks for having disease. And dementia or Alzheimer's is one of those, and it's commonly considered an inevitable part of growing older. But in reality, many of the characteristics of dementia, such as memory loss and confusion, can be prevented or diminished. And we keep looking at new ways. I saw briefly in one of the newspapers I was trying to catch up on, and I think might have even been in the Record B this morning, that said something about this doctor discovers how to cure Alzheimer's. Well, there really isn't a way to cure Alzheimer's. There's a way to slow down the progression, and there's a lot of disease symptoms that don't progress as rapidly if you do some of these things. And there is, this is an article from a physician that said there are 6 ways to reduce dementia risk, according to a doctor. And this is Dr. Shepard Paul, who's a cancer surgeon and a family physician and author of Genetics on Health. And has some very basic things, but I think we need to be reminded of them from time to time. One is to stop smoking, and at that point I have to intervene. How great California is, not so much Lake County, but California is about stopping smoking. I saw it all over the Midwest. I saw it all over Central America, South America, Mexico. The most effective way to lower your risk of dementia is to quit smoking. Smokers are 45% more likely to develop dementia than non-smokers. Of course, going along with that is to cut down on drinking, no more than 2 to 3 drinks or glasses a day. Sometimes you look at these glasses now when you pour a glass of wine. A glass of wine in Chicago was $17. A round of drinks, if you had a beer, a glass of wine, and a couple of other people had cocktails, you're looking at $100 for a round of drinks.
It's crazy.
And people are lined up at the counter paying it. It's just unbelievable. And mostly young people. Third thing is keeping active. As you age, it's also a great way to ward off dementia. Physical activity is beneficial, but certain movements have certain benefits. For example, exercises that do all 3 aspects of human two-legged movement, balance, locomotion, and grasping, seem to have benefits. As you see people begin to age, they're a lot less stable. They fall a lot more often. And balance, for example, I swim a mile a day. My swimming has nothing to do with securing my balance. Those are weight exercises that promote weight on your bone structure to get that in motion. Dancing, cycling, exercises like yoga specifically reduce stress and lower blood pressure. Tai Chi has been shown to do the same thing. I was getting on the airplane in one of the places yesterday, and everybody has their backpacks on, and as they go down the aisle, Paul, they run into you and knock you down. This gal had her yoga mattress, which stuck out about 2 feet on each side farther, and she was just walking down the aisle hitting everybody on both sides. I guess she won't get dementia, but some person might lose an eye or something. So, but keeping active is really, really important. And one of the difficult things about getting older is you start to hurt. Your arthritis starts bothering you. You're due for a hip replacement. You've just had a knee replacement. When you get up in the morning, you're not very stable because the bones start wearing out, the lungs start wearing out, the organs start wearing out, and it just doesn't feel good to get up and exercise. After working every day, the last thing I want to do is jump in that pool. It's my back spasming and those kind of, you're just kind of uncomfortable and you want to just sit down and relax. It's difficult to do. Eating well is important. I noticed a big change in the airports in a lot of natural foods, a lot of organic foods, a lot of stores that just sold fruit, kale, drinks, some sort of a meal. Broccoli sprouts came with this meal that one of my people in my party was eating, and they said, she said, I don't like broccoli, and I don't want to eat that. And she said, well, we'll substitute kale. And the person said, no, I don't like kale either. So instead, I think they had pasta, which was the worst thing you could probably had. But it's important for overall health, no matter what. According to this Dr. Paul, an added benefit of following a traditional Mediterranean diet is it may also reduce your dementia risk. So that diet includes amount of fruits, vegetables, olive oil, beans, cereal grains, wheat and rice, minimal red meat, moderate wine, and dairy. You notice nuts aren't in there, although I know a lot of people that have the Mediterranean diet eat some walnuts or some kind of. That causes a lot of people gastrointestinal discomfort. Those nuts don't digest very well. They get stuck in the cilia, the lining of the intestinal tract that moves the food all the way down, and isn't perhaps the best thing if you're having trouble with digestive process. Research shows that the older people who eat that diet have improved brain volumes and function compared to those with other types of diet. We may explain the difference in the dementia risks. Getting enough sleep, getting more sleep may also reduce your risk of developing dementia. For example, people who get less sleep have higher concentrations of beta amyloid. Now, beta amyloid is that white plaque, protein plaque that we talk about that interferes with the transmission of the nerve impulses from the spinal cord to the brain or from wherever to the brain. And, of course, that gets in the way, and then that message doesn't get there. Of course, it's better to avoid sleeping pills if you can. And the last thing on the list is learn a new language. It may sound a little bit unconnected, but learning a new language can help to work out your brain and, as a result, leave it more resistant against dementia's onset. That's because the process of learning and exploring a new language stimulates new nerve connections in the brain, which essentially helps to improve these neuronal highways, or these nerve highways that go from their source to the brain and from the brain back. Actually, there's a catch. Learning a new language is beneficial as we get older, but age also makes it more difficult. I used to remember everything I saw. I had a photographic memory, and I could retain it for months. I still do that way with numbers, but as an old CEO of mine used to say, I used to have a photographic memory, but I'm running out of film. You use that terminology today with young people who don't even know what film is, and it doesn't make much sense. But as a child, one finds it much easier to learn new languages, and those parts of the brain that deal with language are more attuned to developing new networks. As we get older, it becomes progressively more difficult, even if we still benefit. So that's why word challenges and puzzles like crosswords and Sudoku help reduce dementia risk as they show us how to learn new words and skills. I'm one of those guys that when I'm on a vacation or when I'm home, I don't want to think. I want to just, my wife plays cards all the time, and God bless her. And I just can't do that. And they were trying to explain on the airplane a new numbers game that I'm interested in numbers, but I was just tired, and I didn't want to learn it. If I ever retire, perhaps I should take up something like that instead of sit in the easy chair with the TV remote and try to get some new kinds of experiences. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit about drug costs again and some common causes of eye redness, which we all have right now. Springtime. The sun shines, the bees buzz, and for millions of Americans, it's time to lock all the windows, blast the air conditioner, and hope that wonderful air filled with pollen never makes its way indoors. Hi, I'm Bill Kearney, pharmacist and owner of Northlake Medical Pharmacy. According to a national survey, 80% of the people interviewed said their allergy symptoms disrupt their lives. There's no reason to let allergies disrupt your life, and there are many preventatives and treatment options. Pollen probably won't kill you, but asthmatics and people with compromised respiratory systems are warned to take precautions when pollen counts are high. So over-the-counter remedies provide adequate relief for many sufferers, and most prescribed antihistamines will provide the same degree of effectiveness. So if you're suffering from seasonal allergies, stop by Northlake Medical Pharmacy and talk to our knowledgeable staff about your allergy symptoms. Find out what medication is right for you. Northlake Medical Pharmacies with 2 locations to serve you, at Hill Road next to Sutter Lakeside Hospital and outside Bruno's Shop Smart at 347 Lakeport Boulevard.
Here's the Caltrans Road Information Bulletin for Lake and Mendocino County State Highways for the week beginning May 19th. In Lake County on Route 20 near Glen Haven Drive beginning the 25th, a company could cause 5-minute delays weekdays. On 29 near Hofacker Lane, expect 5-minute delays weekdays. And on 175 near Forest Lake Road, expect 5-minute delays. In Mendocino County on Route 1 north of Fish Rock Road, expect 10-minute delays weekdays. And near Leggett, expect 5-minute delays. On Route 20 from the 101 Junction to County Road 260, expect 20-minute delays weekdays. On Highway 101 south of Confusion Hill, expect 10-minute delays weekdays, and near Leggett, expect 20-minute delays. At the westbound 20 to southbound 101 connector, expect 10-minute delays. On 128 near Philo School Road, a company could cause 5-minute delays, and west of Yorkville, expect 5-minute delays weekdays. On 162 near the Middle Way and near Sandbank Creek, expect 5-minute delays. On 175 east of Buckman Drive, expect 30-minute delays. And finally on 253 from Boonville to Ukiah, expect 10-minute delays. That concludes the bulletin. Like us on Facebook for more updates. That's Caltrans District 1.
Come join the 2-mile fun walk and 5K run at Westside Community Park in Lakeport on Sunday, May 28th at 8 a.m. The start is at the Westside Community Park and finish is at the Kiwanis Craft Fair at Natural High School on Main Street in Lakeport. Registration fee is $20 and includes a Westside Community Park t-shirt. 3 ways to register: on Saturday at the park committee booth at the Kiwanis Memorial Day Craft Fair, on the day of the walk starting at 7:30 a.m. and online at westsidecommunitypark.org.
Raising your family, tending to your animals, growing your own produce, preparing for the seasons, living the country life. Hi, I'm Jody Henke, host of Living the Country Life. Catch me every Monday through Friday at 9:35 a.m. and 4:35 p.m. for ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. That's Living the Country Life here on AM 1270 and 96.5 FM KXBX.
We bring the community closer together, supporting business in every way. We're helping make your dreams come true, working hard for you.
The Lake County Chamber of Commerce would like to recognize their Member of the Month, Polestar Computers. Polestar Computers Sales and Service was established in 1995 and has been serving Lake County reliably and professionally for 22 years. Polestar is the oldest and largest computer store in Lake County, providing exceptional customer service with competitive prices and dedicated to solving all your computer issues. Polestar Computers is located in downtown Kelseyville at 3930 Main Street. Call them at 279-1228 or visit polestarcomputers.com.
Lake County Chamber of Commerce, we're steady and strong, help us shape the future.
All right, we're back.
We are back, and we were talking about some common eye rednesses, and we all get it. This time of year with these allergies and things, antibiotic drops don't help it. Just before I left, I had a patient come in the pharmacy and say, "Look at my eye," and they had actually broken a blood vessel in their eye, and says, "What can you do to fix that?" And I said, "You can't. You know, that's a broken blood vessel. It has to mend." If you have conjunctivitis, which is like pink eye, there's a bacterial and there's a viral. If it's a bacterial, you can use an antibiotic, and that's usually it comes with a thick discharge that continues through the day and reappears as soon as you wipe it off. And it often occurs only in one eye, but it can occur in both. It's highly infectious. So if you get it on a pencil or something around the house and you touch it, I've had people that were even doing a washcloth bath instead of getting in the bathtub and not washing the washcloth off enough and doing their underarms or something, and then wiping their eyes off and getting it from that. So if it's an allergy, it's itching, and a lot of people right now have that kind of red eye. It's uncommon for that to develop for the first time in an older adult because it starts usually when we're kids. Usually it's in both eyes with watery discharge and itching. I mean, recently, you know, my eyes were just watering all day long and red. And you're having the sneezing or the nasal congestion with it. So along with these winds that we were having, I've been gone for a week, so I don't know if that still continues. Where I live, it does. And if there's just an irritant like pollen or weed grass or those kind of things that are budding flowers, there's that eye swelling, and I'm allergic to spider webs, not so much spider bites, but if I go up in my attic and there's spider webs up there, my eyes completely swell shut. So you want to avoid, if you know what is causing that, you need to avoid going into those areas. Treatment of red eye includes therapies that really address the causes. The virus conjunctivitis has to run its course just like a cold. It may worsen after a few days, but then subsides after 1 or 2 weeks. There's no treatment. Using artificial tears or warm compresses can help, and this person that broke their eye vessel said, will a warm compress help? It will help the discomfort. It will not help the blood vessel heal any faster. If it's a bacterial, like pink eye, antibiotic eye drops are an appropriate choice and usually lead to improvement in those symptoms or 1 or 2 days. Usually if you have a child that's going to school, they will ask them to stay out of school until it clears up as far as the visual part goes. If it doesn't clear up in 7 to 10 days, then revisit your doctor. If you're wearing contact lens, as I do, you continue, as long as you put those lenses in, you can continue to reinfect the eye every time. If you're using an eye drop, and an eye drop gets a bacteria on it, and you touch it to your eye, you keep reinfecting that eye with that eyedropper. So always wipe that off. Don't touch your eye when you're putting drops in your eye. If it's an allergy, basic treatment tips include knowing what's causing it, like I said about the cobwebs. If possible, avoid wearing contact lens. If an allergen is present, avoid rubbing the eyes, which is what you want to do to start with. Use a cool compress on the eyes for symptom relief or artificial tears. The usual first-line treatment for an allergy is a combination of antihistamine, eye drops such as Patanol or ketoprofen. If those aren't effective, then non-steroidal anti-inflammatory eye drops such as Ketorolac or Acular may be prescribed. Eye drops are very, very expensive if you get them on the prescription. The copays can frequently be $50 to $100. Non-prescription eye drops containing vasoconstrictor drugs such as Vicine or Clear Eyes are best avoided. For more than 2 weeks can lead to a rebound effect. If you remember when we were talking about Afrin nose spray or oxymetazoline, the more you use it, the more you have to use it, and that can happen with Vicine and those kind of Clear Eyes eye drops. Avoiding the irritant also solves the problem. If the irritant is eye drops, talk to your doctor and maybe change the eye drops. Viral and bacterial conjunctivitis, as we said, are highly contagious. So wash your hands often. Avoid touching or rubbing your eyes. Avoid sharing objects that touch your eyes, such as towels, pillows, makeup, contact lens solution, or eye drop dispensers. Wash and decontaminate or discard any object that may have come in contact with your eyes. And when possible, stay away from social or public settings until the redness subsides. What can happen as far as side effects from the red flags on eye redness? You get, of course, decreased vision. You wake up in the morning with this mucus discharge and you can't see. If it's conjunctivitis, you're going to get eye pain. You may feel like there's a foreign object in their eye that makes it hard to open the eye and to keep it open. There could be some sort of trauma to the eye because you keep rubbing and rubbing until you bruise the inside of that eye. You can have eye pain that's accompanied by a severe headache, a nausea, and of course sensitivity to light. And the last is the severe mucus or pus discharge, and that's when you have the infection. So be aware that those things are all signs of redness and a chance of having an eye infection that's going to be effective to other people. So there's other kinds of reasons to have redness in the eye, and some of us just dry eyes that occur in both eyes with a burning and scratching sensation. They have prescription medications that are quite expensive. Restasis is one. Excedra is another. They're all over $100 on prescription. You can get eyelids that are just irritated, that are worse when you wake up, itchy or crusted, red or swollen. You can often cure that with warm compresses in about 10 minutes and gently washing the eyelid and then getting it cleaned off. Turned in eyelashes or turned out eyelashes can cause a tearing or discharge, crusting the eyelid. A few temporary measures that can really provide symptoms for those. Sometimes it has to be a surgical procedure to turn in or turn out that eyelid. You can have a corneal scratch, which means a scratch when sometimes it's just you trying to pull a contact out or something in your eye. In addition to an eye exam that looks for possible infection or a foreign object, it's managing the pain and discomfort as the eye heals. And a hemorrhage, like we were talking about, a well-defined bright red patch on the white of the eye, often looks bad but causes mild to no pain. It's harmless. And the red spot will be reabsorbed by the body and go away. Your doctor may want to look into the possibility of an underlying cause. But a lot of people that get these get them repeatedly. So some people just have a sensitivity to those eye drops or those eye vessels breaking, and it's uncomfortable, and you have to kind of endure the pain at the time, but usually it's not very painful. It just looks a little unusual, and if you're enhanced by what you look like, and many people are, it's kind of difficult to be out in public when you have that and people kind of look at you like, what in the world is wrong? Well, guess what's coming up, Paul? This weekend is Memorial Day.
Yep.
And it looks like we're going to have decent weather.
A little cooler than the last couple days.
A little cooler, but we've had it in the 60s for many times, and rain.
Yep.
Hopefully it's a nice weekend, but what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to be here, and the week after that for the boat races, and they're going to have to be wearing sunscreen. And when we tell you to wear sunscreen, we tell you to get an SPF of 15 or higher, usually 30. And people wonder, well, what is an SPF? Well, that's the sun protection factor, and it's a guide to the product's level of sunburn and indicates how much longer you can stay exposed to the sun before getting sunburned, as opposed to without a sunscreen. So then there are these things that you have to remember on top of that, the time and length of exposure. Ultraviolet rays are usually stronger from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Guess when most people want to go out? 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, they don't want, if you have a 15, that means it takes 15 times longer to burn with an SPF 15 than without the sunscreen. However, the SPF number in the sunscreen should still be taken into consideration, but you should apply it every 2 hours, no matter what. If you want to go out at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the chances are if you're laying around the pool, you're going to wait till around 10 or 11 before you go out there. And guess what you're going to take out there with you? You're going to take the suntan lotion with the SPF factor of 15 or 30 or 45, and you're going to put it on as you lay down. Now, it takes it about 15 minutes to a half hour for that to chemically work. From 10 to 2, or say you get out there at 11 and it doesn't work until a quarter till 12, you got a good burn on. The sun's UV rays are strongest during the summer months, but they reach the earth every day, year-round, even in the winter. And if you get to some place like I was in a month ago, that you're out on the ocean and there's nothing to diffuse those rays, you burn much quicker. And the type of surfaces that you are on, concrete, sand, water, snow, can reflect 85% of the sun rays back at you. Guess what? We are semi in the mountains. And if we don't stay here, the chances are we either go to the beach or the mountains. Guess what? You have less filters when you do that. So there isn't anything to diffuse those layers from going strictly to your body. And UV rays are strongest the nearest you get to the equator and the higher the elevation, and the greater your exposure is. So if you have fair skin as well as light-colored eyes and hair, you're likely to burn more easily when exposed to ultraviolet rays. And we all know this. I mean, we're not talking to a bunch of 3-year-olds here. We're talking to people that have kids and grandkids. And if you're buying a sunscreen, you need to look for protection against UVB and UVA rays. So you look for the words broad spectrum on the product label. No matter what it says, from a 15 to a 30 to a 45 to a 60, look for the words broad spectrum on the product label. Most dermatologists will recommend using a product with a minimum sun protection factor of 30, which also can help protect you from approximately 97% of the sun's harmful rays. Other factors to consider may include medications or medical conditions or special circumstances like recent surgery. It's not exhaustive to honor some of these things that your dermatologist or your practitioner is going to tell you as far as staying safe. And remember to reapply it every 2 hours, no matter what. And if we do that, we'll protect ourselves. I have a dark complexion, and can't say I'm a sun worshiper, but I love to be out in the sun. It makes me feel good. It makes everybody feel good. It has vitamin D. But sunburn, even on a cloudy day, since up to 90% of those sun rays can go through the cloud, it's a good idea to apply sunscreen no matter whatever the weather is. And if a sunscreen's protection is compromised, if too little is applied, it takes approximately 30 milliliters. That's 1 ounce. If you ever seen a 1 ounce ointment tube that you got a prescription in, it's that whole tube of sunscreen to cover an average sized body. So you need to be very careful about not getting enough on. Wearing higher sunscreen does not mean you don't need to reapply it. You should reapply sunscreen every 2 hours, and after swimming, sweating, or a towel drying, you need to be careful. So I was on a ship walking 3 to 5 miles a day in weather that was so windy you could barely hold yourself upright, and you're walking around the deck, and it was, I can't remember how many laps was a mile, I think 4, and it wasn't, no sun was penetrating at all, and I got sunburned down by Cartagena, Colombia, just by walking around the boat. So and kids who spend a lot of time outdoors, often in and out of the water, when selecting sunscreen, parents should look for products that are broad spectrum, water resistant for at least 80 minutes, and follow the reapplication instructions. It's recommended that kids use secondary form of protection such as long sleeve shirts, pants, hats, and sunglasses. So I noticed people in Chicago when it was almost 100 degrees with little babies out in strollers at Navy Pier, and I just wanted to say something to them, but it was none of my business about putting sunscreen on them. Most people are very good about that, but if they're on a place like Oak Street Beach and they're laying out in the sun and their goal is to get a suntan, the chances are the child is laying there in the sun and not getting that same protection. A lot of people are concerned about vitamin D, and they think that sunscreen does not, that might prevent your body from making vitamin D, and it's true that sunscreens do help block out ultraviolet rays, but no sunscreen blocks 100% of the vitamin D producing rays. To be sure that you're getting enough vitamin D, ask your doctor or your pharmacist about taking a vitamin supplement. There are a lot of people that do supplement themselves with extra vitamin D regardless of sun exposure. Certain conditions can increase the sun sensitivity. Antibiotics, such as some of the ones we mentioned last week, antidepressants, some heart medications, some diuretics that we use for high blood pressure can also do the same thing, and it's called hypersensitivity or photosensitivity. And you can burn quite quickly and also very severely if those chemicals affect you. They don't appear to affect me, but because I don't burn very easily. The other thing I do is if I'm out there, I put a lot of moisturizer on my skin. You think a little chunky guy like me wouldn't use a moisturizer, but it does dry out your skin, and it does harm your skin. So when I have little vanity, it's not a deterrent to keep me from going out. But it's responsible for 90% of the visible signs of skin aging. No product will block all the rays. Sunscreen ingredients can absorb or reflect or scatter the ultraviolet rays before they can penetrate into your skin. Any tan is a sign of damaged skin. You can still enjoy the sun, but be sure to limit your amount of direct exposure and help protect your skin as much as possible. Moderation is really the key. And the last thing you need to realize is that although those rays can be reflected from the surfaces, concrete, sand, water, and snow, loosely woven fabrics, see-through or wet fabrics generally provide minimal protection. That means very little. The protection delivered by the fabric depends on the weave, the thickness, and the color. You can buy clothing now that's a 45 or higher, tightly woven fabrics in dark colors. There are also new fabrics with new specific UPF or ultraviolet protection factor labels that provide even more sun protection. So in going out to celebrate the holiday on Monday and all summer long, and next week, of course, are the boat races, and there'll be thousands of people here. And I can imagine, although I will say, in my trips around the country in the last month, I've seen fewer people that really had that dark suntan that you used to see people get. We have enhanced our educational process on taking care of ourselves when it comes to that, and we want to continue to do that. I think the worst place actually was Hawaii, where I was at our timeshare and saw probably a dozen people out that were browner than a Baby Ruth candy bar, you know, that were not of that descent.
Yeah.
So you like the sun, don't you, Paul?
Oh, yeah. I'm not a big fan of really, really hot weather, but yeah, I like the sun.
When we got off the airplane last night, it was 100 degrees in Sacramento. And the guy that picked us up said when he got in his car to do the express, it was 100. By 5 o'clock, it was 105 degrees.
Yeah. See, that I'm not a fan of.
Well, we have our trade show in Las Vegas, which is the middle of July this year, and
great time.
And it was 110 when we went through there in the airport yesterday, and you could not even sit in the airplane without the shades being pulled to keep the cool air in from the venting process. So we want to remind you again that we're still doing all the shots that we talked about. We're going to be doing the flu vaccines probably in August. It sounds like it's a long ways away. It hasn't. The concerts in the park start when, Paul?
June 16th.
June 16th.
Yeah.
And also, we will be doing August 4th, North Lake Medical Pharmacy, and with
Tom Rigney.
Tom Rigney.
Yes.
And some Zydeco stuff.
Yep.
So we're into the summer. Graduation is starting to take place, and a lot of people graduating already, and that will probably occur almost the month of June. And if you're too busy to come pick up your prescription, just remember that we deliver from Lakeport to Upper Lake, Nice, Lucerne, and Lakeport, and then as well as to Kelseyville and the Rivieras, Buckingham area. Just call us your prescription in a day ahead of time so we can put it on the agenda, and we'll get the prescription to you. We continue to be a family pharmacy and try to invoke that same kind of feeling when you walk into our store. As many of you know, we know your name when you walk in the store. We hope you see a difference between our competitors and us, and just think about the survival of business in Lake County. When you ask for funds for your schools, for your sober grads, for your baseball teams, for your football teams, probably that competitor of ours that has the big sign that says we're the cheapest is not going to support your community the way an independent pharmacy or an independent business does do that. So I'm kind of giving you a heads up when it comes to, if you want support from the local community, then you need to give support to them. So if you're just after your Northco prescription and you get something else from a mail order, we're probably not the place that you need to go. But we've been there for you for 37, 38 years. Want to continue to be there for you, but we need the support of you. I had a deal on pharmacy benefit managers to talk to you about. You've heard me talk about that before. A lot is happening at the national level, and one thing I found out when I was flying, Paul, was that I sat by two pharmacists who had nothing to do with each other. And one of them was from Madison, Wisconsin, and he had got into pharmacy benefit manager management for managed care facilities, and was getting out of it because the profit margins were too slim. And the other had gone to pharmacy school and got into the computer business, and both had completely different ways to look at things, but agreed how complicated this business has become. Well, we'd like to remind you we're North Lake Medical Pharmacies with two locations for you at 5136 Hill Road East across from Sutter Lakeside Hospital. Call us there at 263-6192. And outside the Bruno Shop Smart at 347 Lakeport Boulevard, give us a call there at 263-1328. And thank you, Paul, and happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Bill, and we'll see everybody back here again next Wednesday at 10 a.m. for Health Talk right here on AM 1270 and 96.5 FM KXBX Lakeport.